Hey guys, welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down the Football Podcast. I'm your host Jay and Gay here, back with more NFL news and updates and news, everything you need to know for the first day of August and also the first day of pads for many teams around the league, including high school football as well. Everybody's starting pads today, so now we're getting to the real grittiness of the football season. Everybody's, putting on pads and hitting and practice. Practices are going to be physical now. You're going to have tackling and, full offense versus defense, faster periods. So it's going to be really interesting to see that now as we officially start the NFL season this week with the Raiders and the Jaguars for the Hall of Fame game, which will be on August 4th, this Thursday. But so I'm sure as everybody knows, before we get started, please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. We're on YouTube. We're getting there, guys. We're increasing our subscribers, so please help us out with that. Check us out on YouTube, also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're there. Tune in for all the different updates, everything you need to know for the NFL and high school football and college football as well. But main thing I want to talk about today is Deshaun Watson, the Browns quarterback, of course, the former Houston Texan, who was traded away to the Browns because he was, he wanted to get out of Houston, and now he's with the Browns, and guaranteed $230 million. However, Deshaun Watson has been suspended for 6 games in 2022 for violating the league's personal conduct policy for the sexual allegations that everybody knows about that. So Sue Robinson, who is an arbitrator who is handling the Watson case, she made the decision this morning that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 6 games next season. Now a lot of people are reacting to this, questioning this move, this decision by why he's not suspended for the whole season or more games. A lot of people are mad right now. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments below the video here. What do you think? Do you think Deshaun Watson is this deserved, or should he be suspended for more games, or should he be not suspended at all? Everybody just chime in, your thoughts and what you think, because I believe that I think Deshaun Watson does deserve some more games to be suspended for. I think he should be suspended for the whole season. And a lot of people think that he didn't do, all those things that he was accused of doing and all of this and that, and we don't have no clear way of knowing what's true and what's not. But however, due to the allegations that were presented, you just have to understand that something of this magnitude cannot be taken lightly. That's still something. You are assaulting a woman, you're sexually assaulting someone, and and things like that. That's serious business, and that's not right. That you are violating another human, so to speak. So in a way, I believe that Deshaun Watson really should be suspended for the whole season, because you look at guys like Calvin Ridley, who was suspended for all 2022 season for his betting for on the parlay on the Falcons and stuff, and the gambling with that. He's suspended for the whole season. Guys, you look back in the past, the guys like Josh Gordon and those guys who were suspended for multiple seasons because of they're smoking weed and all that stuff and doing the drugs and failing the PED test, and it's just, and then you look at Deshaun Watson in a much bigger case of sexually assaulting women, and he's only suspended for 6 games. So y'all let me know what you think about that, because I don't really think that's suffice a punishment for such a problem like that and an action. I think Deshaun Watson should be suspended for the whole season without pay, because that's just something that that's just not right. And I'm in the NFL, this decision can be appealed by the NFL, and Roger Goodell still can modify and change the ruling if he so chooses to. So that will be something to look out for. But it was ruled this morning. First news broke out by ESPN that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for just 6 games of the 2022 season. That's what we know so far. So that's just something to keep an eye on. But again, first day of pads for everybody in training camp in NFL. A lot of hitting going on today. Shoulder pads come on, helmets go on. So it's now we're entering into the part of training camp where we get to see, okay, what are these teams really about? Because when the pads come on, it's different than where you're just going out there and 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills, just throwing, and doing drills. Now you're actually putting the pads on, you're actually hitting, and we get to see, what teams are physical, and this and that and these things. Coaches can sit and evaluate guys like, okay, this is the guy that needs to be my starting offensive tackle, or this should be my starting running back. Can he hold up in pass protection? Can he go and can he go out and block or chip, or can this receiver go and make that block and make it good enough hole for the running back? These different things like that. Is my free safety going to come down and make the tackle and make a good physical clean tackle, and not the ball carrier down behind the line of scrimmage, right? Those are the things that these coaches are looking for. And right now, so this is the part where we're still evaluating, and they're still figuring out the roster and the guys that they're going to keep active on game days. This is where they're starting to see that more of now. You get a better picture when you put on shoulder pads, because now you're hitting and you're getting to see who's physical, who wants to be out there, it's hot, it's tough, and who's going to last through the practice, those types of things, right? And it's for all levels, high school, college, and the NFL. So that's just something to monitor as we move closer and closer to the season, which will be in a couple weeks here. But the preseason officially kicks off with the Hall of Fame game as usual. That'll be again this Thursday with the Raiders and the Jaguars. Again, don't expect Derek Carr and those guys to play. If he does, it'll probably be like a series. Devontae Adams might play, he might not. Usually the starters, the last couple years recently, not many teams have played their starters in preseason games. So I don't expect that to change any bit this week. So that's just something to watch for as well. It's football. So remember, I'm just glad football's back. I know a lot of y'all are glad that football is back. So now we get to see first taste of football, right? But in other news, Kyler Murray has also tested positive for COVID. This just broke out recently. Per head coach Cliff Kingsbury, he will self-isolate for 5 days. So Kyler Murray, who is the Cardinals quarterback, just signed that big extension not too long ago, just has tested positive for COVID-19. So he will not be with the guys for a while, so he's gonna sit out for 5 days or however long he normal thing is 2 weeks, but we'll see how long he stays away. So that's something to watch for as well. He's not the only one that tested positive. Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll has also tested positive for COVID. So 2 guys in the NFL, Kyler Murray and Pete Carroll, head coach of Seahawks, both tested positive for COVID. So you got the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks who tested positive. So you don't have your head coach for training camp. And then you got Kyler Murray, who is your starting quarterback in Arizona. He tested positive. So that's something, that can, it's always tough when you lose players around the season, especially, get about to start in a couple weeks. You just the first day put pads on, and now you're starting to get your 11-on-11 offense versus defense, starting offense, starting defense, playing against each other in practice, and now your starting quarterback's not even there because he's got COVID. So it's really tough for these coaches and these teams and trainers when there are guys like get COVID and everything like that, and now you're having to adjust, right, those few things in practice, because if you're going for 5 days, you're talking about not having your starting quarterback for 5 days, and that's going to be tough, because now when you got the pads on, you're not able to develop more of that chemistry, in the starting offensive line, and the receivers, they're used to having their starting quarterback throw to them. Now they're gonna have to back up throwing to them with pads on, which is gonna be different. Honestly, I keep reiterating this, but it's a very different game when the shoulder pads and you're in full uniform. When that comes on, it's completely different than helmet, shorts, and athletic shirts, and you're going out there warming up, just throwing 7-on-7 stuff. It's a very different game when you put on the pads. So not having your starters out there is a really tough thing, and not having your head coach there is hard as well. So that's just some news for y'all right there. But again, you have a lot of players that are still not reporting to training camp, still as they're waiting for contracts. Bengals safety Jesse Bates, he still has not reported to training camp for the Cincinnati Bengals because he's still waiting on that contract. We don't know exact timetable on when that could be completed or if it will be completed at all. Jesse Bates has not reported to camp, and he does from what I hear, has no intentions of playing under that franchise tag. He wants a contract. So the Cincinnati Bengals have not given him one yet. So that also was something to monitor as we move forward the next couple of weeks into the season. Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. has reported to camp though for Kansas City, so he's at practice. He's going to play under the franchise tender, but hoping to get a new deal done before he is a free agent next offseason. So that's some news right there for the Kansas City fans. You got your starting left tackle back for the year. Another good thing right there for Kansas City. Are they going to make the Super Bowl this year? I don't know. Maybe not. I think the Bills are going to make the Super Bowl out the AFC. But speaking of playoffs and Super Bowl, the Cowboys are a big subject of discussion this offseason among many NFL media members, because they are in a spot right now where Ezekiel Elliott has not been playing well the past couple years. The offense overall has just been struggling. The offense has been good, but the defense has been struggling, and the team has not been competent enough to compete as far into the postseason. They've had two playoff exits the last couple of years. The last two years have two playoff exits, and the year before they missed the playoffs in 2019, I believe it was. Yeah, so the Dallas Cowboys are in a predicament right now. You signed Dak Prescott. You got him. He's your starting quarterback. That's already been made clear. You still haven't signed Dalton Schultz, your tight end, right? So you haven't had an established tight end really since Jason Witten left, if we're being honest. And your running game is, other than Tony Pollard, it's not much in the running game right now as far as on a consistent basis, because the last couple of years Zeke has been banged up and he hasn't been himself. He hasn't really been the same since his rookie year. Ezekiel Elliott led the NFL in rushing his rookie season in 2016, but since then has not maintained that level of consistency. So if you're a Dallas fan, and God bless you if you are, because you're they are very obnoxious, but if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, this is going to be a tough time for you, because you're wanting your team to finally be able to go more than the first round in the playoffs, play for more than the wild card or for a divisional game. You want your team to go to the conference championship game, right? So that's what the Dallas Cowboys are trying to get to that point. And the defense, again, has got to be better under Dan Quinn. In year two, he's going to be defense coordinator for his second year. So he might have a better understanding of how his guys can play, where they fit best at, all those types of things, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Dallas Cowboys this year. Even though I do not believe they're going to do anything at all this season, I believe they're going to have, again, another first-round exit until they get the defense established and establish a consistent pass rush, and they get the secondary, on lockdown. Other than Trayvon Diggs, who's been amazing. Of course, he led the NFL in interceptions last year with 11. And then, other than that, you gotta have an established cornerback too, to play opposite Diggs, because right now that position has been a revolving door for the Cowboys, and they haven't really had consistent secondary play. So they are one of my teams to keep an eye on this season, because right now, if the Cowboys do not compete this year, Mike McCarthy will lose his job, and that's clear and evident. The first question he got asked in training camp was about his job security. He was like, "Man, I don't want to talk about this right now. I'm trying to run a practice, right?" But in all seriousness, if the Cowboys do not get this together, and they don't get it together quickly, Mike McCarthy could lose his job. And who knows? Dak Prescott might want out. A lot of teams are in the quarterback market. It's just thoughts right now. I mean, he's said that he wants to remain a Cowboy for his career, but if they keep doing what they're doing and they don't establish good, consistency on the offense and defense side of the ball, and bring in a good supporting cast with him on the offense, then it's going to be a tough go for the Cowboys for the next couple of years. That's just my opinion. But, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think that the Cowboys are going to go to the divisional round, to the wild card, the conference championship, or the Super Bowl? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But overall, I do believe that this is going to be a toss-up this season. It's going to be, like we said, 2021 was going to be a weird year, and it kind of was. I mean, we didn't know that the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl. We didn't know A lot of people didn't think Georgia was going to go to the national championship game this year. They thought Alabama was going to beat them. Georgia ended up going there and winning. And winning in the national championship game against Alabama. You know, in college football itself, it was strange. You have more, again, with the NIL and the transfer portal, it just continuing to allow these athletes to move schools and allow these schools to get stronger players, better rosters overall. In the end, has really improved a lot of these colleges and universities. So that's something to keep an eye on for this season in college football. I think a lot of more teams are going to be competitive than the last couple of years because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, because of what they're able to offer to these players as far as the money and cars and all this stuff. You know, I mean, if you get a 5-star receiver and you offer him a new Mercedes-Benz to come to your school and, and $1 million, hey, he's going to come over right away. You know, he'll be there less than an hour, and that's where we are right now in college football. You know, NIL has taken over, and NIL, now these athletes can get paid for playing the game, which they weren't able to do before. Now they're getting paid. Now these schools can offer these kids money and more money and items and materials to come and play for them. And then the transfer portal is basically free agency. Discussed this on my last podcast with Andy Bunker for 929 The Game. He was saying how the transfer portal basically is like free agency. Now these guys can go anywhere they want, and they can go play anywhere they want. More, even if it's more than one school, they can transfer 2 times in 1 year. It's just, times are changing, and again, but these guys are going to go where they feel like they have the best chance to get into the NFL from. And now the NFL is also keeping an eye on this stuff. Like, okay, this guy, he moved from Alabama to where he wasn't playing, and he moved to South Carolina and turned into, this big offensive receiver, led the country in receiving yards, or was say, that kind of stuff, right? And just sometimes all you need is a change of scenery and you can explode. I mean, we saw that with Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Matthew Stafford just needed a change of scenery, and he showed why he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, maybe, top 15 quarterback in the league, as he was able to lead the team to a Super Bowl berth and a Super Bowl win, as well as those amazing guys on the defensive end of the ball, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Same thing with Tom Brady, right? Change of scenery, getting out of New England. And then just exploded. First year in Tampa Bay, they go and win the Super Bowl, right? So sometimes all it takes is a change of scenery for certain players and coaches to find a spark within them to win and get back and get to that level of glory that they want to achieve, right? So now it just, you get excited for this time of the year as we're getting into football season, and it's like I said, the preseason starts this week. In the next couple of weeks, we're getting padded practices and, more closer to that September kickoff with the Rams and the Bills in SoFi Stadium. So we're all so excited, ready for the year. Make sure you guys go and grab your tickets on NFL.com or your respective team websites. Grab your season tickets as soon as you can. Make sure you guys do that, again, on NFL.com or on your third-party team's websites. Thank you guys for listening today on Jay's Fifth Down the Football Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. Let me know all your thoughts, everything you want, everything you think about the Deshaun Watson situation and suspension, and what teams are going to come in here and surprise everybody this year. What are your thoughts? Let me know. You guys take it easy. Again, thank you for tuning in.